Just got back from a trip to South Carolina with my mom and my auntie, Joanie. And let me tell you, it was a hoot and a half. Traveling with these two, honestly, is probably the most fun you can have. They stay up way later than me. I literally go to bed probably 4 hours earlier than them. They're party animals. It is excellent. You always know there's gonna be good food because Joanie is an amazing cook. And one night we were making a big dinner together, but Joanie, I was planning on it. I was planning on cooking because that's usually what happens when I'm around. But Joanie was like, I got this. So she wanted to make a delicious dish. Joanie's a fantastic cook. She's a total rock star in the kitchen. In fact, she's such a rock star that in our house we call her Joan Jovi. That's one of her many nicknames, so we're gonna keep it to that one today. But I wanted to show you how to make Joanie's classic dish that she has literally made since I was a tiny, tiny little baby. I'm so excited about it. We are gonna make her shrimp linguini. So this is Aunt Joanie's classic shrimp linguini. Does things a little differently than how I would do it, but I literally sat at the breakfast bar on this trip with a pen and paper and wrote down every single thing she did because I wanted to keep it as true to Joanie's recipe as possible. So to get started, this is like an oil-based pasta sauce. So we wanna make that kind of oil situation. So I've got a pan here over about medium-low heat. I don't want it super hot because we're gonna sweat down onions and garlic. Now, since this is an oil-based sauce, well, that's a little hotter than medium hot. We're gonna turn it down. Guys, pretend this is on medium-low heat. And it's gonna be great. I'm gonna add in about 2 to 3 tablespoons of olive oil. That sounds like a good amount of oil, but to be honest, for this sauce, that's the majority of the sauce there. So we gotta add that in. Now for a little bit of flavor, I'm gonna move this right over here. This is when real estate becomes an issue on this stove, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna add in about 2 tablespoons of butter. That butter is gonna give you the most beautiful kind of sweet, delicious flavor, and that's just gonna melt into that oil. So while that does its thing, pretend it's going slower, because it's supposed to be cooler. But you know what? It's gonna be great, because that's a Joanie original. To be honest, if I was doing this, I would probably have it at that higher heat to get a little bit of caramelization on my onion. But for Joanie, we just wanna sweat it down. We want it a little bit sweet and tender. So I am going to use a white onion. Typically when I'm cooking, I use a yellow onion, but Joanie likes a white onion. It's a little bit softer. It's not as punchy in flavor. So I need about half of this white onion. So I'm just gonna trim off the top and bottom. I'm realizing right now that I don't think I've ever shown you how I like to peel an onion. I usually like to keep as much of the root on as possible because it's gonna hold everything together. Then I'm just gonna chop that baby in half and then try to get that layer of skin, peel it off, and you are good to go. Now to chop this baby, I just go right down, kind of running against my knuckles, curl my knuckles underneath just so I don't slice anything, hopefully. And I just run my knife across the onion. And to be honest, sometimes people tell you gotta go like this as well, but that onion already has layers, so I'm not gonna double up the work. I'm just gonna cut down just like this. And I want just half of that white onion. This is gonna be perfect. A white onion is also known as a Spanish onion. It's really nice, got a little bit of heat to it, but not as much as a classic yellow onion. So I'm gonna grab that, and I'm gonna pop that into that butter and oil over here. The heat's come down, it's looking beautiful. Add that on in. Gonna grab the rest of that onion. And honestly, as soon as you smell onion and garlic or onion and butter, you're in heaven. This is gonna be good. This smells like a Joanie dish already. Now into there, Joanie is the first person who taught me that you should add like way too much garlic into pretty much everything you're making. So here I have got 4 cloves of garlic. You could bring this down to 3, but we've got 4 cloves minced up, just nice and finely chopped. I'm gonna add those on into the pan as well. And since we're cooking this over that medium-low heat, we can add that garlic in now because it's not gonna burn. I am gonna season that up with some salt and pepper right now because that's gonna help kind of bring all of the moisture out and help them cook down even quicker. And then again, over that low, medium-low heat, I want this to sweat for about 15 to 20 minutes. Usually when I'm making pasta, I start the pasta, then I get to work on the sauce. But we want this to cook down low and slow so it gets sweet and almost jammy. So once that is done, we're gonna swap this over and you get something that looks like this. There's not a lot of color on here, it's just cooked down and jammy. So while that comes up to temperature a little bit, I'm gonna get to work on the actual pasta. So I've got a pot right here, set to the boil. over high heat. And I'm gonna add in a good amount of salt. You wanna season this water. Since we're doing a shrimp linguine, you want it to taste like the ocean. Down in South Carolina, where we stay, every single morning you go out for a walk and there's shrimp boats all on the horizon with giant nets. And let me tell you, I think I bought a whole boat's worth of shrimp and ate them all while I was down there. I love shrimp so much. But we've got that good salty water, which is gonna season up our pasta. So I've got about 250 to 300 grams of dry linguine here. And I'm just gonna add that on into the pot. Now, if this were Joanie making this, she would make enough pasta for 87 years. She cooked so many noodles. Honestly, it's delicious. I love this as a leftover, but we're sticking with about this much because this will be perfect for about 4-ish people, 4 good hungry people. So while those noodles cook down, I'm gonna start flavoring up this sauce. So we've got those onions, that garlic, that butter and oil in there, and I'm gonna add in the zest of a lemon. So I'm just gonna zest my lemon right on over top. And that lemon zest, as soon as it hits the heat of that pan, just starts smelling absolutely beautiful. It's bright, it tastes lemony, but without that citrus note. It's really, really good. If you're not using your lemon zest, then you're just throwing money away, and that's something I do not abide by in my kitchen. Add that in. And then we're gonna add in the juice of 2 lemons. One thing Joanie loves so, so much is a good amount of citrus. So I'm just gonna chop 2 lemons in half, and I just wanna add those right on into that pan with all that deliciousness. So my lemons have been lemons lately in that they have been really hard to squeeze. So finally, for like the first time in my life on television, I'm using a citrus press. I have a vendetta against these things. I don't like lever systems. I find them really hard to use. But today, that's what's gonna happen. This lemon is such a lemon. Okay, what are we getting? That's all. Did you see how much came out of there? Not much. Oh, there it is. I found it. This is why it's my nemesis. I didn't know how it worked. Okay. So if you have a normal one, you could just press it right on through. This one has like a little reservoir, which is fun. So we're gonna add in that lemon juice, just pour that right on in. And once we have both those lemons in there, you just want that to simmer away for about 1 to 2 minutes. I am gonna spice this up though with a little bit of chili flake. I'm gonna add about half a teaspoon to 1 full teaspoon of chili flakes. I love that heat. To be honest, us in the Berg house, we love a good amount of heat, so I'm going in with 1 teaspoon. And it doesn't look like there's a lot of sauce in here, but it does all come together. All right, give that a bit of a stir. Now I'm gonna toss the shrimp in here. I've got about 650-ish grams of peeled and deveined shrimp. These were frozen previously. Just thaw them under cold running water and they will be perfect. Add those into the pan. That pasta is cooking up. Now before we head to break, I'm really quickly gonna make a little crunch. In a pan, I'm just gonna add a little bit of butter into just a tiny little pan. A little bit of panko goes in there too. This is a good crispy crunchiness, perfect for the top of your pasta. Season that up with a little bit of salt, maybe a bit of pepper. And speaking of Aunt Joanie, look who we've got sitting right here. Hello. Okay, world, if you haven't met her yet, this is my Aunt Joanie. This is my mom, Myra. We know Myra, but Joanie is Myra's first cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys have been, you guys are like the Bobbsey twins. You're together all the time.
We wore the same coats this morning.
They wore the same coats this morning. The number of times this happens that they're wearing the exact same outfit, and I'm like, you guys look wild. So Joanie, when was the first time you invented this recipe?
Well, some friends and I were in a restaurant in the West End, and we had this wonderful clam linguine that was citrusy and oily and garlic and a little hot.
Yeah?
And so she went down to her family's in PEI, brought back clams, and we tried to recreate it, and that's where it all started, and back in those cottage days.
Back in the cottage days, because Joanie makes this dish anytime we go to the cottage, anytime we are down south in South Carolina, Joanie is making this dish. Now, you did say clams, so you could swap out the shrimp for clams, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We've done it with, for people who don't like seafood, we've done it with chicken.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and it's lovely as well.
Now, when you were inventing this recipe, did Joanie's patented gin joint come out, AKA a gin and tonic?
I believe that was probably a thing, and also maybe a winery.
Oh, a winery, Joanie's wine, Joanie's Vineyard.
There you go.
Her last name's Foot, so it's Foot's Vineyard.
There you go.
Amazing.
Is that?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so Mom loves a good G&T. Joanie makes a mean one, but she also makes this pasta, which is so so good. So I'm actually gonna finish this baby off, okay?
Yeah.
How am I doing so far, Joanie? You've been watching backstage.
I think you are doing it perfect.
I'm doing it perfect. Guess what? I'm about to do it a little bit. Might switch it up a little bit. Are you ready?
Quite okay by me.
Uh-oh. So we've got our pasta put back into our pot. This is a Joanie-ism. Do not put those noodles in the sauce. Put the sauce on the noodles. Now, I typically do it the other way, but because this is a Joanie classic, we're just gonna dump all, look at these shrimp. Oh my gosh, there's 1,000 shrimp in this dish. Pop those right in on top, get all of those onions out, and then give that a good stir. Now, this is the part where I'm gonna add a little bit of Berg into this dish. Joanie, do you usually add any of the pasta cooking liquid back into the pot or no?
I don't normally,
Okay.
unless a recipe calls for it,
Yeah.
but
Usually you don't.
usually I don't,
Okay.
but you do it. and
I'm
I
gonna
wanna
do
talk
it.
for
Mare.
I'm making this Berg's shrimp linguine. This cooking liquid has so much starch in it, and starch likes starch, so it makes the sauce a little bit starchier. Everything kind of comes together. It brings the sauce into silky smoothness, and it's absolutely beautiful. You see those chili flakes in there. It's light. It's the perfect summer pasta. So I'm gonna bring this right on over here. And the final ingredient, Joanie, what's the final ingredient?
Parsley.
Parsley. Okay.
Yes, you like to have a little green in there.
I like a little green too. It gives you a little bit more color, a little bit more flavor. It makes it, again, taste bright and fresh and wonderful. Now, I like my parsley big and chunky. Are you a fine chopper?
No, I'm a chunky chopper.
Mom,
there.
what about you?
I'm a chunky chopper.
You're a chunky chopper. Okay, cool. I like
Every
it.
time I'm looking at him.
Let's do it. I'm gonna add this right on in, give that a good stir, and that, my friends, is the most delicious thing. Now, if you remember before the break, I did make a little crunchy panko, because sometimes people like to tell you that you can't have cheese on pasta that has seafood in it. What do we think of that, ladies? Well, that's what we think of it. Put the cheese on it. But if you are not someone who likes that, this crispy, crunchy panko scattered all over the top gives you texture. Now, I'm gonna serve you guys up, but how you feeling about breaking that seafood and cheese rule as we always do in our house?
I think it's perfect, and I'm excited to try it.
Okay, I'm gonna give you some. Mom, pass that bowl on over. Hey, Mom, do you mind going in the fridge and getting you know what? You know what? You'll know it when you see it. She's looking scared. Head on back there, Myra Berg.
I've never opened the fridge
She's
before.
never opened the fridge before. All right. Do you see him? She knows what I'm looking at.
Shaky cheese.
A little bit of our family fave, shaky cheese.
Yeah.
You've
Not
gotta
even the
have
real
it.
stuff. You realize this is the tossing and passing of the baton, right?
What do you mean?
Well, you might be doing linguini night forever now.
Oh, man.
Yes.
No, Joanie, you still have to make your linguine.
you know
I'm
what?
going to eat out of this pot. Let's give it a taste.
Okay.
Okay, I want to see how I did. How Joan Bon
Gotta get some
Jovi
panko.
says I did. Okay. Mom's going for the shaky cheese.
That's a shaky cheese.
That's good. That's good.
I have to eat mine.
She's liking it. She's just being polite.
10 thumbs up.
10 thumbs up. Nicely done, Joanie and Mom.
Panko's delicious.
Great eating. The panko's great. Listen, shaky cheese on shrimp. You heard it here first, folks. Hey, Mary here. What did you think? Drop your comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more of the good stuff.